You have to go back. Question 250.
250. Chairman, sir, a statement is laid on the table of the House in response to questions A to D.
Supplementary.
Sir, in the light of the recent statement by the Honorable Chief Justice of India that the collegium system needed a major modification in the selection process, is the Minister contemplating any major significant changes in the process for making the selection to higher judicial establishments?
Chairman, sir, this is a matter which is engaging the attention of parliamentarians, the department-related standing committee, and also it is debated among the juries. But the government has not taken any view on this, and I will not be in a position to give a positive reply with regard to the next steps to be taken in this sector.
Thank you. Question are over. Papers to be laid on the table.
Shri Prakash Jaiswal.
Sir, I beg to lay on the table of the House the paper mentioned against my name at serial number 2 in today's revised document.
Shri Salman Khurshid.
I beg to lay on the table of the House paper that serial number 3 mentioned against my name and pages.
Shri Jairam Ramesh.
Sir, with your permission, I beg to lay on the table of the House papers listed against my name and serial number 4 in today's revised list of pages.
Shri Bharat Singh Solanki.
Sir, I beg to lay on the table of the House paper mentioned against my name at serial number 5 of today's list of business.
Honorable members, I have to inform the members that letter has been received from Shri Arjun Singh stating that he is unable to attend the House due to illness of his wife. He has therefore requested for a grant of leave of absence from 19 November to 15 December 2009 of the current session 218th session of Rajya Sabha. Does he have the permission of the House for remaining absent from 19 November 15 to 15 December of the current session of the Rajya Sabha? Permission to remain absent is granted. Zero over. Zero over mention. Shri leader of the honorable leave by position to rise.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir. Sir, 2 weeks ago, this Honorable House called the attention of the Minister on the issue of India's stand in the climate change negotiations. And this House was categorically assured by the Honorable Minister in the course of the discussion that there will be no substantial change from the stand that this country has adopted over the last 17 years in these negotiations. The Minister also said that he would take the Parliament into confidence before he proceeds to Copenhagen and the country's stand is spelled out. This call attention was called, sir, in the backdrop of some apprehension that the Minister was not in agreement with the stand of the Government of India, which was being conventionally taken. So now we find that the Honourable Minister and the Government of India has unilaterally altered its position substantially over what India has been saying all these years. We have now announced, without waiting for what the developed countries say, that we are going to make a 20 to 25% cut in our carbon intensity on the 2005 level till 2020. Now, this country has consistently followed a policy, sir, that there is a per capita principle. That is, we have as much a share as members of developing countries in the carbon space as much as a citizen of a developed country has. The Honourable Minister had addressed a letter to certain members of Parliament. I had also received this letter on the 29th of September 2009, where till 29th September the Minister says, and I quote from his letter, the equal per capita entitlement principle is the only legitimate internationally acknowledged measure for reflecting equity. As stated by our Honorable Prime Minister, India's per capita emission levels will never exceed the per capita emission levels of the developed countries. Today, sir, what appears to be happening is that the legally binding cuts which the developed world had to face is something that they want to get out of. As a result of which various drafts are being internationally circulated, and as a part of those drafts, one of the suggestions being made is that please go by domestic pledges. And what we seem to have done is completely altered our principle. Irrespective of what the developed world does, we have unilaterally announced that we are going to make cuts of 20 to 25%. Now, sir, our difficulty today is the major part of this negotiation and deal is still to be settled. Who is going to make the entire investment involved in India as also in the various developing countries, as far as this reduction of carbon intensity or emission intensity of 20 to 25% is concerned over the next few years? So, when business was as usual, between 1990 and 2005,
LOP के लिए तो
I'm sorry, I'll just take a minute or two more, sir. Between 1995 and 2005, we had in this emission intensity a 17.6% cut. Now that was on 1% compounded annually. Now if we are to achieve this figure, there will be a lot of investment required because it will be almost about 1.5% per year which is required till 2020. Now one of the essential aspects of this deal has to be as to who is to bear the cost. Is the cost to be borne by those who are the victims of environmental pollution, or is the cost to be borne by those who have substantially polluted the environment? Now, sir, the original understanding was that there would be substantial cuts being made by the developed countries, and today, having really bared our hand completely on the eve of negotiations, we do not know what the developed countries are going to do. Experts in the field are now indicating that the cuts may only be 3 to 4% on the 1990 emission levels as far as the developed countries are concerned. And we would be rendered completely helpless in a situation of this kind. Sir, there are 2 or 3 aspects I wish to highlight. It is bad strategy for Government of India on the eve of a crucial negotiation to bear its hand and disclose all its cards. Our disclosed cards today become the baseline of further negotiations. We've raised our own baseline, which was absolutely not necessary. Secondly, sir, today we have no reciprocity in return. Thirdly, we are in a state of turmoil as far as on the eve of these negotiations, the first phase begins today itself. Our negotiators appear to be sulking. From what has appeared in the newspapers, some of them, day before yesterday, refused to board the flight and said, unless we have a clear assurance from the Government of India that we will not be really reversing our stand, we are not willing to go. And lastly, sir, the question was also asked by one of our colleagues in the question hour as to what is the international observation or verification of our unsupported domestic actions. Earlier, our stand categorically was this will never be acceptable. Now the minister has now coined a new buzzword which is flexibility. And flexibility says we'll see, if necessary, we'll allow it. His interview to one of the leading newspapers of the country almost seems to indicate that we will allow that also. Please. Now, this is entirely, sir, unacceptable. And I suggest, sir, that the government gives a categorical assurance to this House that there will be no change in India's categorical stand, which has been there all these years on this subject.
Thank you. Sri Sitaram Yechury and D. Raja to associate. It is to associate. It is associate.
No, sir. Morning the agreement was that we will speak. Sir, the morning the agreement was that we will speak.
Morning agreement is that it will be raised in the 0 hour.
And I'll be allowed to speak. That was the agreement.
Okay. No, I am just because the LOP has given detail. This thing.
No, sir.
Okay.
I understand your.
Just please stick to time.
No. But start the time now, sir. Sir, start the time now, sir.
Okay.
I already lost 1 minute also.
that you are capable of.
Sir, I understand your sentiment. I'll try to be very brief.
Please.
But this is a.
Please.
No, I'm going to give him a hint of what I'm going to say in Copenhagen also, sir.
Yes.
And that is the minister, sir, had assured the parliament and the country that there are two red lines that will not be crossed. One is that there will be no binding emission cuts that will be acceptable to India. Second is that there will be no deadline for peaking of our emissions. Now, whatever has been stated earlier and what the minister has been stating now in the media somehow seems to contradict this. Our voluntary announcement of 20 to 25% reductions. We presume it is on reduction in carbon intensity because it's gone by the past record of 17% reduction from 1990 to 2005, which is a compound rate of 1% per year. Now, whether it's emissions intensity or energy intensity or carbon intensity, these three are very different concepts and impact on the country differently. We do not know what the government is talking about. But presuming it's carbon intensity, it means that by 2020, we'll have to reduce by 150% of what we have reduced in the last 15 years. Which means what, sir? Today, 55 crores of my countrymen do not have electricity. 70 crores of my countrymen survive on biogas fuels without any carbon emissions. Now, if this 1.5% reduction is to be brought about, it will come at the expense of 2/3 of India. Are we today prepared to widen the gap between the rich and the poor in our country as a result of this? And has it come under any pressures? That is my point. The pressure is that on the 4th of December, the White House releases a press note. I am reading from it, sir, which is a public document. It says, after months of diplomatic activity, there is progress being made towards a meaningful Copenhagen Accord in which all countries pledge to take action against the global threat of climate change. All countries, no annexure 1, annexure 2, no division between the developed and the developing. Following bilateral meetings with President, and since the United States announced an emissions reduction target that reflects the progress being made in Congress towards comprehensive energy legislation, China and India, underlines that India, have for the first time set targets to reduce their carbon intensity. There has also been progress in advancing the Danish proposal for an immediate operational accord that covers all the issues under negotiation. Danish proposal is what, sir? There is no differentiation between countries. Hours after this was announced, the Prime Minister of India announces that he is also going. So suspicion that comes up is this happening under pressure. Therefore, sir, what I want from the Minister very clearly, since you asked us to restrict our time, that Article 4, Para 7 of the framework so far clearly talks in terms of Annexure 1, Annexure 2 countries and the responsibility of the developing world, of the developed world. Therefore, sir, what we want assurance, one, the per capita emission standard cannot be diluted. It cannot be given up. Two, the historical responsibility of the advanced countries must be ensured. Three, the cutoff date that has been changed from 1990 to 2005 should not be accepted. We should stick to the 1990. And our voluntary cuts must be conditional upon three things. Final points. Must be conditional upon three things. One, that the developed countries ensure a mandatory cut in their emissions. Number two, that the financing of the shift to greener technologies will be provided and they take the burden, much of the burden of financing such a transfer if to our greener technologies. And C, the transfer of technologies will be beyond the purview of the intellectual property rights and they should be transferred to the third world without this intellectual property rights royalties. These assurances...
Mr. Raja, I think be brief.
Sir, agreeing with the speakers before me, I would like to draw the attention of the House to one international climate scheme. Our government has been supporting an international climate scheme called RED, Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Degradation of Forests. Even though this scheme has major implications for the lives and livelihood of our crores of Adivasis and forest dwellers, the government has never publicly discussed this scheme. Even the issue was not discussed in the Parliament. The proposed scheme would make it possible for companies and governments to earn tradable carbon credits from forest protection in developing countries. Our government has gone beyond this and wants afforestation and plantation projects to be eligible for carbon credit also. Sir, as of now, the Forest Right Act of 2006 is not being properly implemented in many areas. When the government is not giving people secure rights to their lands and forests, what government can do to prevent companies and government agencies grabbing the same lands? To earn carbon credits under this scheme, the government's afforestation program are already resulting in conflict in many states, for instance in Orissa, Andhra Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. So my question is, the government must be very categorical and clear what the government is going to do. Replacing natural open areas with monocultural plantations.
No,
can
the
also be-
subject is
I'm finished.
conflicting
Just-
statements,
No, no,
not on this, please.
No, it is part of
No.
Copenhagen summit begins today. It
Please.
is part of climate scheme and government's position. And it
No,
is
that
only-
is, we have already discussed it. Now this is only
No, this is a new
a
thing.
conflicting statement.
No, this is a new thing. Government has been supporting and government has not discussed in parliament.
Please.
And government has not discussed.
No,
in
that
public.
is correct. I am not disputing with you.
Yes,
I am not disputing
So
with you,
I am
but the
raising
question
this
which we have admitted.
I am
आप
raising
बैठिए,
this issue.
आप please बैठिए, please बैठिए.
No, what I am trying to say, the government cannot support this international scheme RED. If government has anything like this, government should share what government is going to do in Copenhagen.
Okay.
That is what we are asking the minister. Let him respond.
Government should take this seriously, sir. This is
No.
Raja is opposing red. You please understand. Raja opposing red is a serious matter.
No, please. Please,
So
time, please.
my humble request is, sir,
No, there were 3 minutes is also over, please.
let him respond.
Mr. Minister will respond, and if you respond, please respond briefly.
Sir, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for yet another opportunity for clarifying. And before I go on Thursday, I'm sure there'll be more opportunities such raised. And sir, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that.
Mr. Yachuri is going to be with you, so we are going to keep an eye on you even there.
Dr. Swaminathan also will be there. So, sir, I'm grateful that the leader of the opposition today, the discussion has not been oriented towards me personally, and has been substantive on issues of climate change, unlike the calling attention motion, where I felt as if I was an accused in a trial. Sir, I'm a bit. Let me respond to whatever each of the speakers have said in as serious a manner as possible. But allow me to
As briefly as possible.
No, and briefly as possible. But allow me to say, sir, that I'm sometimes perplexed by the shifting stance of our distinguished leader of the opposition. When I meet the leader of the opposition outside this hall, I get one view, and when he stands up and speaks as leader of the opposition, I get a different view. But sir, that is inherent. Sir, that is inherent in our political system.
Unbecoming on the part of the leader.
Sir,
Please let us.
I will
Never done.
No.
Never done, sir. Never done.
Please, no. I think in the interest of the,
You should withdraw it, sir.
no, Mr. No, what you discuss privately should not form a part of this. No, भाई बोल रहा, what they discuss privately should not. Please,
Sir, let me respond.
please, Mr. आप बैठिए. No, please, I have
Sir,
said
let me
that.
respond.
Please don't refer to your personal.
Sir,
One should
Pardon?
not refer the personal
okay, I will
No,
not
no.
refer. I will refer to the official statement.
Let us confine to what is going on inside the house.
Since he has referred, let me clarify. At the Major Economies Forum, after the government of India diluted its stand, I felt quite happy, as most of India did, when the US Secretary of State was here and their environment negotiator referred to our stand, a diluted stand there. The minister had the courage to stand up and contradict that. We all congratulated him, so did I. But after he shifted his position in his statement in the Lok Sabha, I categorically told him that I disagree with his stand.
Sir,
Please let us,
sir, I will not get into this any further.
please.
I'll respond to the points that have been raised. Sir, let me first talk about the non-negotiables, which will continue to be non-negotiables till the 18th of December 2009 and beyond. The first non-negotiable, sir, is that we will under no circumstances accept a legally binding emission reduction cut. Number one. Number two, we will not reflect whatever we do, the emission intensity cut as an example. This is not an internationally legally binding commitment. This is a unilateral domestic obligation that we have taken in our own interest. And we are announcing to the world that this is what we are going to do as part of the 12th and 13th plan. And if you want us to better it, if you want us to reflect it internationally, you have to support us both in terms of finance and technology. So this is the second non-negotiable. The third non-negotiable, sir, we comprehensively, categorically reject the notion of a peaking year. We will under no circumstances accept any draft that suggests that India's emissions should peak by 2025, 2030, 2040, 2045. This is simply not on our agenda. Sir, the fourth non-negotiable is, and please bear with me, sir, because there is a fine distinction involved here, and this has caused much consternation amongst members of parliament, and I want to respond to it as openly and transparently as I can. Sir, the fourth non-negotiable is, while we accept international scrutiny of supported actions, we will not accept the same level of international scrutiny, the same type of international scrutiny as for the unsupported actions. So wherever the world supports us in terms of finance and technology, you are welcome to come and verify what we are doing. But where you are not supporting us, and sir, the bulk of our actions will be unsupported actions, we will not subject these actions to international scrutiny. However, sir, we are an open system. We are a democratic system. We are accountable to Parliament. And what I have stated, and what is the Government of India's position is, that we are prepared to submit to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, the UNFCCC, a national communication, say once in 2 years, which will have both the supported and unsupported actions for consideration of the UNFCCC. That's all we have said, sir. Scrutiny when you support in terms of finance and technology. But for the unsupported actions, we are only going to submit a report, which we will of course come to Parliament with, and we will submit it to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change for consideration. So please bear with me, sir. We have nothing to hide. Our country has nothing to hide. Madam, can I please finish? We have nothing to hide. All that we do is in the public domain. We have a national action plan on climate change. We have a plan document. Everything is debated in Parliament. And whatever we debate in Parliament, we come to Parliament and say that this is the extent to which our solar energy plan has gone. This is the extent to which our energy efficiency plan is implemented. And whatever information we put in the public domain, we are going to give it for international consideration. What is wrong with this? I am not saying scrutiny. Please. I am not saying international scrutiny. International scrutiny means international observers coming, asking questions, looking.
What is consideration? Please define what
This is,
consideration.
Madam, please listen.
Big boss satellite, they can observe everything.
Please listen.
You don't need a man.
Mr. Ahluwalia, sir, please listen to me. These are not nuclear power plants we are talking about which we need to protect. These are all things in the open. We are not doing anything secretly. And please listen to me, sir. Consideration will be defined by the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. This is all going to be based on, what is our proposal? According to guidelines framed by the UNFCCC. This is our proposal, that according to the guidelines of the UNFCCC, we will subject all the supported actions to international scrutiny, but unsupported actions will not invite international scrutiny, but will be part of our reporting to the UNFCCC. So it cannot be any honourable MP's case that what we have made public to Parliament cannot form part of any document that we are going to submit to an international body. That is not the case. Can I finish, and then you can ask any clarification you want? Let me finish, sir. I'm trying to explain.
No, this is not a debate. It is only just.
Sir, I'm just trying. No, sir.
It is important,
sir,
but
I'm not hiding anything, sir. Sir, I'm trying to come clean as much as I can. I'm not trying to hide anything. And I feel that transparency is the best way to strengthen one's negotiating position. And I would like to reassure this House categorically that this proposal does not mean international monitoring, reporting and verification of our unsupported actions. It does not mean that. I'd like to reassure the leader of the opposition. I'd like to reassure my colleague who is coming to Copenhagen with me that this is not what it means. All that it means is there will be a document which we will submit to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, which will be once in 2 years, once in 3 years, whatever is decided. That will have a compendium of all our actions on climate change. Wherever the international community has supported us financially and technologically, that will be verified. Everything else will be just there for information. And our accountability ultimately, sir, as I said in the Lok Sabha, our accountability is to Parliament and Parliament alone. In fact, sir, my proposal, if the Honourable Leader of the Opposition can kindly reread the letter I have sent him, my proposal is that we convert all our national appropriate mitigation actions to a nationally accountable mitigation outcome. You may read that letter. I have, Mr. Javadekar will recall, I have spoken to him that I would like not NAMA, which is what the world is talking about, but NAMO. And what is NAMO? NAMO is to come to Parliament and tell Parliament every year that this is what we are doing in climate change. If I am not accountable to Parliament, whom am I going to be accountable to? Our primary and only accountability is to Parliament, not to any international organization. So please be reassured. Now this debate is taking place in Parliament, whether we should, in government, whether we should have a comprehensive legislation or whether we should have piecemeal legislation. Now once this debate is settled, we'll come back to Parliament. But I want to reassure and reiterate to the Leader of the Opposition, to the distinguished Leader of the Opposition, that my accountability on all the actions on behalf of the Government of India is to Parliament. And what reports we put out to Parliament, we will make available to any international body. I don't see... may I finish? May I finish? Whatever reports that we come to Parliament...
We are extending the scope of 0 hour.
This is the public. I'm coming to red.
We are converting into a debate. That is not correct.
Sir, this is. Sir, please, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Sir, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition talked of reciprocity. Sir, it is true. Our 20 to 25% emission intensity cut offer by 2020 is a unilateral offer, not dependent on reciprocity. Sir, why did we do this? We did this, I don't mind sharing with you, sir. Every major country in the world has a major offer on the table. We also have an offer on the table that at no circumstances our per capita emissions should exceed, I've taken your caution and not using the word below, should not exceed the emissions of the developed world. That is our offer on the table. So I believe our emission intensity offer, which is a unilateral offer, which is a domestic offer, which is a non-legally binding offer, strengthens our negotiating position to demand greater cuts from the West. We have to negotiate from... May I finish and then you can respond to what I say?
On the issue, you might as well just clarify. Quite to the contrary, it demolishes your negotiating position, because the moment you say that my per capita emission will be lower than yours, this is my existing offer, I am now going further lower by 20 to 25%, whether you reduce or not, which means that you completely destroy the per capita equity argument which we have conventionally taken.
I'm afraid the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is profoundly mistaken on this. Let me say that the Chinese have offered a 40 to 45% cut.
Their missions are so many more times.
Madam, we have gone through this in a calling attention motion. We have gone through this. We can have one more round of discussions on this. The Brazilians have offered a cut. The Indonesians have offered a cut. The Mexicans have offered a cut. And it is true that last year we offered voluntarily our per capita emission constraint. That remains a constraint as far as we are concerned. We are not going to deviate from the per capita principle. I want to reassure the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that the two pillars of our negotiating strategy remain the per capita convergence ultimately, which is the only equity instrument that I have pointed out in my letter, and the historical responsibility. And it is because of the historical responsibility that we will refuse to take legally binding targets of any kind. So there have been some... the Honourable Leader has asked what is flexibility. So whatever we have done, we are not going to be in a position to better whatever we have done unless there are substantial emission cuts made by the developed countries, unless there is a substantial financial package offered by the developed countries, and unless there is substantial liberalization of technology flows from the developed countries. This we have made clear, amply clear. I made this clear in my statement in the Lok Sabha as well, sir, that there is absolutely no doubt in our mind that any further movement on India's part is conditioned on three things: a substantial improvement on emission cuts by the developed countries, a substantial financial package by the developed countries, and a substantial liberalization of technology flows by the developed countries. Sir, as far as the timing of the American press release is concerned, I also got to know about it. I saw it later, and I can assure this House, sir, that this was not done under any foreign pressure. In fact, if Madam can bear with me, this exercise has been going on for the last couple of months. The Planning Commission, as part of the midterm appraisal, has consulted a large number of independent bodies, individuals, think tanks, and the consensus view that emerged as part of the midterm appraisal was that without jeopardizing our economic growth, without jeopardizing our poverty alleviation, without jeopardizing our electricity supply target to every household, we can take a 20 to 25% cut in our emission intensity, which means our emissions would still continue to grow, but our emission intensity would fall. I plead with the Honourable House to give some time for this to work out. And I can assure the House that if this emerges as a constraint, we would be the first to relook at it. But I am confident in my mind that emission intensity will not jeopardize the prospects that the Honourable Leader of the CPM has rightly pointed out. We are going to Copenhagen with the objective of not accepting any agreement that would put a constraint on expanding electricity supply to rural households, for livelihood security, and for all the other economic objectives. Sir, as far as the point that my distinguished colleague who is opposing RED is concerned, sir, the RED proposal was made by Brazil and Indonesia, who are contributing to deforestation and who want financial incentives to stop deforestation. India took the lead for saying that, okay, if you are giving financial incentives for stopping deforestation, what about giving financial incentives for reforestation? That is our RED Plus proposal. It is not secret. It is in the public domain. I have sent you a copy of what our Red Plus proposal is. It's there in the letter that I have written to you. And I want to reassure you that if the Red Plus project, if there is any Red Plus project in India which violates the Forest Rights Act of 2006, it is simply not acceptable. I mean, I want to tell you this categorically. In fact, I don't know whether you're aware, 2 months ago from my ministry, we have issued a guideline that henceforth all clearances under the Forest Conservation Act, that all clearances under the Forest Conservation Act of 1980 will be given only after the Forest Rights Act of 2006 is fully implemented. And in fact, this is one of the grounds in which we have issued a letter to the Orissa government on the Niyamgiri project, that the Forest Rights Act of 2006 was not implemented. बैठ जाइए ना.
अब उसके बारे में आप नोटिस दीजिए बैठ के.
Sir, let me summarize, sir.
Please.
Sir, let me summarize.
Please, please.
Sir, let me summarize. Sir, our negotiating team is in Copenhagen. We have over 10 negotiators in Copenhagen. It is true that 1 or 2 negotiators had some questions on my statements. I've had a discussion with them. I have tried to convince them that there is no dilution of our stand, and these 2 negotiators are going to go to Copenhagen in a day or 2. I want to reassure, sir, in closing, I want to reassure this House, sir, that while stands do evolve over time in response to changing circumstances, there is a certain basic code which we are not violating. We are not violating the per capita principle. We are not going to transgress the historical responsibility principle. We are not, well, you know, actions speak louder than words.
But now only your words are speaking.
No, this is,
So please wait.
now we are converting to another call attention, another debate, and there is no scope under 0 hour, and only because there was an understanding that.
Sir, I would suggest to the honourable member
please be
to
brief,
issue a
Mr.
calling
Minister.
attention motion on the 20th of December, and I will respond to my actions and not to my words. There is a house, sir.
The 20th December is Sunday.
21st December. So 21st December.
Instead of saying we'll submit them for their consideration to the United Nations, why don't you say you submit them for information? Consideration has a lot of other implications.
We'll discuss this on the flight.
Sir, what is this trivializing an issue like this?
Sir, I'm not trivializing. I'm as Madam, I'm as serious. I would like to
He is responding to the questions raised by the members of parliament. And now he is answering that we will discuss. It is not a personal affair, sir. That in the flight we will discuss. Are you taking the whole house to the flight? What you are talking about? No, when you are answering, answer it properly. You are addressing to the chair, and through the chair you are informing the house. No, don't make it. No. You can't.
Sir, I withdraw that statement, sir.
Yes.
I withdraw that statement. Sir, I withdraw that statement, sir. Sir, I am trying to respond. I am trying to, once in a while, ठोका ठोकी चलती है. एक बारी ठोका ठोकी चलती है. Sir, there is no. Sir, I am trying my best. I am prepared to come tomorrow. I am prepared to come day after tomorrow. I leave on Thursday. Before that, I am prepared to come to this house on as many occasions as you want. To address the doubts that you have. I want to reassure this house, sir, there is simply no compromising on India's national interest. We have a counter draft to the Danish draft prepared by China, Brazil, South Africa and India. We are the basic draft. I was in Beijing. I went to Beijing myself. I contributed to the basic draft, and we are hoping that the basic draft will form the basis of our negotiations. Sir, I am as patriotic and as mindful of the national honour as any other honourable member. Sir,
the questions he has answered, but in his own.
Sir, the basic doubts we have is what are we getting from the developed countries? We don't have a single word on this. On the reciprocity principle, the reply merely says, yes, we believe in reciprocity. We haven't got a single assurance or a word on reciprocity. The per capita principle has been completely negative, and we are completely dissatisfied with this reply, sir.
Sir, I have answered every point that the leader of the opposition said.
Sir, we are completely dissatisfied with this reply and we'll walk out, sir.
Sir, that was pre-planned anyway, sir.
Sir, totally answer.
This was pre-planned anyway.
Sri Venkaiah Naidu ji, Sri Ali Anwar, Sri Ali Anwar.
We completely disagree with this entire thing, sir.
Sri Ali Anwar.
उपसभापति महोदय,
आप बोलिए ना।
महोदय, देश की प्रमुख जो समाचार एजेंसी है यूनाइटेड
प्लीज
ऑफ इंडिया UNI,
मिस्टर नायक प्लीज। अरे मिस्टर अली अनवर, तो आपका वक्त हो जाए, आप बोलिए ना।
हमको
आप बोलिए तो
UNI जो है
नहीं, आप बोलिए।
देश की प्रमुख जो समाचार एजेंसी UNI है, उसके कर्मचारियों को 800 कर्मचारियों को 4 महीना से वेतन नहीं मिला है। आप समझ सकते हैं महोदय, इस महंगाई के जमाने में 1 महीना 8 दिन 10 दिन पगार में देर हो जाए तो क्या हालत होगी। ये अल्प वेतन भोगी कर्मचारी हैं और 4 महीने से इनको वेतन नहीं मिला है महोदय। आप जानते हैं कि 1961 में पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने इस एजेंसी की स्थापना कराई थी और ये जो एजेंसी है बहुत कम पैसे में नाम मात्र का शुल्क लेकर के और तमाम अखबारों को और गवर्नमेंट के संस्थानों को ये अपना न्यूज देती है। महोदय, सरकार ने, केंद्र सरकार ने DABP की विज्ञापन दरों में इजाफा करके और दूसरे तरीकों से निजी लाभ के लिए चलाए जा रहे जो अखबार हैं उनको मंदी से उबारने में के नाम पर करोड़ों रुपयों की मदद की है। लेकिन जो ये UNI है वो सहकारिता के सिद्धांत पर चलने वाली एक संस्था को सरकार 1 कौड़ी भी नहीं दे रही है। महोदय, कुलदीप नैयर साहब की अध्यक्षता में एक समिति 1971 में बनी थी और उसने अपनी रिपोर्ट में समाचार एजेंसियों के सुचारू रूप से संचालन के लिए सरकार से उनको कानूनी संरक्षण और आर्थिक सहायता देने की बात करी थी और 1992 में एक एजेंसी को सरकार ने 10 करोड़ रुपया दिया, लेकिन UNI जैसी संस्था को वो नहीं दे रहे। महोदय, ये सॉफ्ट लोन मांग रहे हैं कि हमको सॉफ्ट लोन दीजिए, हम अपने यहाँ हम एक इमारत बनाएंगे, यहाँ BP हाउस के बगल में उनका इतना बड़ा भूखंड है, अगर वो मल्टीप्लेक्स वहां बना दे, एक इमारत बना दे तो उनकी एजेंसी भी चलेगी और उनके कर्मचारियों को वेतन भी मिलेगा। महोदय, ये सवाल है और हम गुजारिश करना चाहते हैं, जब मामला होता है जो हवाई जहाज में पायलट का मामला होता है और दूसरे लोगों का मामला होता है तो उसमें सरकार संवेदनशीलता दिखलाती है, लेकिन ये अल्प वेतन भोगी कर्मचारी हैं, ये भूखों मर रहे हैं। एक श्री कृष्ण पांडे जी, ये वरिष्ठ पत्रकार थे, हाल में उनका हार्ट अटैक हुआ, उनकी 2 बच्चियां हैं शादी करने के लिए। तो इस तरह से ये परिवार तबाह हो रहे हैं। सरकार से हम कहेंगे कि आप डायरेक्शन दीजिए। नहीं महोदय, आप डायरेक्शन दीजिए सरकार से।
माइक बंद हो गया, माइक बंद है। श्री एम वेंकैया नायडू जी, श्री एम वेंकैया नायडू।
Deputy Chairman, sir, it's a very serious issue. The Andhra Pradesh is on the boil now. 15 days, all the education institutes have been closed. More than 20 people, as per the media reports, either dead or committed suicide. And one of the former ministers, Adai of the ruling party, is on fast for the last 8 days. And there is tension everywhere. And there are also attacks on public property, and the entire situation is very tense. The Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and the Congress Party chief there, they says the issue is with the central government. And Mr. Veerappa Moily, who is our in charge and also Parliament Affairs Minister, he has said openly that the issue rests with the state government. I am not able to understand such a burning issue like Telangana. the government of India need to take a categorical stand. What is your stand? What do you want to do? Do you want this situation to continue? And do you want this tension to continue? Do you want the children to suffer? Do you want this regional feelings to flare up further? You don't have any solution. You have mentioned it in your 2004 election. You had an alliance with DRS, and then your presidential address to the joint session of the parliament also stated about Telangana, and you appointed a Pranab Mukherjee committee, and you also said that the entire decision is given to the leader of the Congress party, and subsequently now you are saying it requires time. 5 years are over. I want to know from the ruling party, sir, what is the stand of the Congress party and what is the stand of the UPA government vis-a-vis Telangana? You wanted to build up a consensus. We said we are willing to support you. We are there to extend a helping hand. I only suggest to the government, if you have political will, bring the bill. We will support you. In spite of any opposition, if you have, I don't think anybody is opposing now. There is a broad spectrum of political opinion which is favoring the division of Andhra Pradesh to two states. But still, the government is delaying it. You are acting in such a manner to ignite the tension there in the state without offering any solution. Can you just keep quiet like this and allow people to take the streets and then have this sort of situation in Andhra Pradesh? I don't know. Sir, there are reports, all the cabinet ministers from Telangana in the Congress party, they met and they said we are for the state of Telangana. The Congress president said he is for the state of Telangana. Here my colleague, Mr. Kesar Rao, who is sitting here, former Congress president, he also said he is for Telangana. Then who is opposing it? What is it that is delaying this matter? And what is the reason? I am not able to understand it. Everybody is sympathetic. 5 years are over. Now 6th year also is running. And then you want some more precious lives to go like this? What is the stand of the ruling party and the government? I would like to know, sir. And people are self-immolating. And just government of India has so far has not uttered a single word. Many delegates have come here. Leader of the opposition also in the Lok Sabha, he has also declared publicly. A political major opposition party, we have categorically said we are in favor of division of the state and we are willing to support the resolution of Telangana. What is your stand? Are you trying to fool the people further? You did it in 1969. You did it in 1972, and you want to do it again, once again.
Please.
What is it? I am not able to understand. What is the stand of the ruling party? Sir, why they are silent?
Please.
Why they are silent? Sir, there has to be some response. But please try to understand what is happening in our country.
माइक किस नहीं हो गया ठीक है आपने मेंशन किया 0 आवर में देयर इज नो आई कांट no there is no I cannot insist the government to give reply for a 0 hour mention.
My point is, in a normal situation, we would not have raised it, we would not have pressed for answer. One of the MPs, former minister,
No, that is correct.
His health is deteriorating. It will have its own consequences.
I think hope the government will take. Okay. Sri R.C. Singh. No, you have said that the government is listening. I am not forcing. Nobody is forcing. Nobody is forcing. Only thing is, I told the Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, government is listening. Government. This government is sitting here. No, not necessary. 2 cabinet ministers are here. 2 cabinet ministers there.
Sir, I can bring this issue before the Prime Minister and the Home Minister.
Okay. He will bring this matter before the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. He bring it to them, then that is the Sri R.C. Singh.
Sir,
No, for that, you see, on 0 hour, I am afraid I will not be able to direct the government because I don't want to raise new conventions. That is why the government, now the Honorable Minister has responded. She is going to take this matter, tell the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, and that means the government has taken note of your mentioning. No, the government has taken note of your thing, and the Honorable Minister has promised that this may be brought. आपने उठाए नहीं देखिए मैं इसका जवाब मैं नहीं दे सकता. I cannot give answer for all your questions. जब यह प्लीज ये 0 hour है don't spoil it. Please don't spoil. Please go. आप जाइए. देखिए 0 ओवर में ये नहीं होता. देखिए ऑनरेबल मेंबर हमारी the whole please no आप जाइए. मैं खड़ा हूँ. आप जाइए प्लीज. देखिए सर. Now I appeal to the honorable members. Our 0 hour has been appreciated all over the country. Let us not spoil this. You see, the sensitivity is there. We have discussed this, and now let us not create new convention. We have been following in 0 hour that the chair will not be able to direct the government. You do this, you do that. There is no mention of 0 hour in the rules, and when there is no 0 hour in the rules, it is a convention. No, it is a convention.
Steaming out, sir.
No. Yes.
When the people
No, it's steaming out. You are rightly used the word. You are rightly used the word. But the question is, let us please don't disturb. Yes. I fully agree the sensitiveness of the matter. The Honorable Minister has responded. Let us leave at this, and then in whatever manner you want to rise under the rules, you give a notice, the chair will consider. No. I told you. Please.
Sir, I know the position of the chair. It's not an argument with the chair.
No, I am not saying that you are arguing with me. That is why I said the government has taken note of the sensitivity of the.
What is the response of the government?
No, that is what I said. I said, please give a notice.
We want a statement. We have the Home Minister on the situation of Telangana area. What is happening there?
Okay.
What is happening there?
Your voice is being heard.
No, sir.
Let us give some time to the government. Give some time to the government, please. Mr. Venkaiah Naidu ji, you are a senior member. You are the thing. Now that you have taken, you have mentioned this.
Sir, it's realizing the gravity of the situation and the emotions expressed rightly by the honorable members of the House that I made a suo motu assurance that I would bring this matter to the notice of the Home Minister and the Prime Minister. If a further discussion is needed, surely question 0R is not the only one to elicit a reply.
No, let us see R.C. Singh, please.
Sir, it is most important issue which I am going to raise about the incident of Punjab, looting up money from the laborers by the motorcycle gang and creating serious situation in Ludhiana, Punjab. This is one of the more incidents how the poor laborers and workers in the country are being looted by the powerful men like gangs, etc. The poor laborers from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar who are working in the various industry units of Ludhiana are being attacked and robbed during the last few months methodically by motorcycle gangs, and they are earning during the first week of every month. The workers have been making complaints of such incidents to Punjab police, but unfortunately no action has been taken on the culprits by the police. When the workers went to the police station to report another incident of looting on Thursday night, the police shouted them. So the laborers have come out from their jhopdi and protest peacefully at GT Road. And the trouble broken out when the police shouted lathi charge to the unarmed peaceful laborers and instigated the local youths against the protesters. The local youths attacked the workers with sword, axes, rods, baseball, bats, etc. with other sharp-edged weapons. The poor laborers who do not have anything to protect themselves have to run helter and shelter for safety. Taking advantage of this, the police beaten up the workers and fired in air. The incident, many laborers have suffered seriously injured and some of them are very critical condition. So I demand the government of India to immediately send the central team to Punjab to take stock of the situation and direct the government of Punjab to see that the poor laborers are protected against the atrocities on them by the motorcycle gangs, police and others. So I demand that ₹2 lakhs to be paid to the every injured workers immediately, and the government should bear all the expenditure for their hospitalization and see that the normal
wait, let him not complete, please.
Social
please, you have patience.
Environment for the working.
Sri Rajendra Prasad, you associate. No, you are a, wait, I have called the members who has given, you associate, get.
इसको बोलने नहीं देंगे?
बोलिए, 1 मिनट बोलिए.
1 मिनट क्या 3 मिनट मेरा है सर?
नहीं, 3 मिनट नहीं है, एसोसिएट का है. देखिए प्लीज, आप बोलिए विथिन. देखिए हर नोटिस, देखिए जरा सुनिए प्लीज, आर्ग्यू की मत कीजिए.
नहीं बोलने देंगे?
नहीं, मैं
लेकिन आप नियम मत.
बोलने
दीजिए. हमको बोलने.
I have called him,
yes.
But the rules of the association is on the same subject. If there are 2 or 3 notices, one member will be allowed to speak, the other associate. I don't mind giving you 1 minute or 2 minutes, but don't demand as a right that you get 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Sir, पिछले दिनों पंजाब से एक न्यूज आया और अखबार में भी न्यूज आया कि वहां के बिहारियों के लिए बहुत कहर बरसाया जा रहा है. सर, ये महाराष्ट्र में भी हो रहा है, ये मध्य प्रदेश में भी झंझट हुआ और दिल्ली में भी थोड़ा झंझट हुआ. तो सर, बिहारी लोग, हमारे जो सिखों के जो 10वें गुरु वहाँ बिहार से आते हैं सर, बिहार में पैदा हुए हम लोग, तो बहुत उनके हम भी जाकर माथा टेकते हैं सर वहाँ पे जाके. तो सर, ये जो कहर बरसाया जा रहा है, ये क्या लिखा है उन्होंने? जो लिखा है सो मैं 1 मिनट में पढ़ देना चाहता हूँ सर.
आपका 1 मिनट हो गया ना.
Organization had launched a movement last year against the migrant, describing them as a population bomb. हमारा माने वो कह रहे हैं कि 10% उनकी आबादी आ गई है. तो बिहार के लोग सर ग्रीन हाउस कर दिया पंजाब को. तो कैसे माइग्रेंट, ये कैसे पॉपुलेशन बम हुआ? दूसरा वो कहते हैं सर कि कंटिन्यूअस एंट्री ऑफ माइग्रेंट लेबर वाज डिस्टर्बिंग द डेमोग्राफी ऑफ द स्टेट. ये दूसरी बात कहा उन्होंने. और सर, मैं एक निवेदन करना चाहूंगा, हिंदुस्तान का संविधान क्या बदलने वाले हम लोग? हिंदुस्तान का संविधान हम लोग बदलने वाले नहीं है. कहीं भी बिहारी मजदूर, कहीं भी पंजाब का मजदूर, कहीं भी पंजाब का, महाराष्ट्र का, सभी जगह जा सकते हैं. तो क्या ये जरूरी है कि आप हमारे बिहारी के लोगों को पिन पॉइंट करके लोगों को मारने और भगाने का काम करेंगे? सर, ये बहुत सीरियस मैटर है और इस सीरियस मैटर पे हम लोगों को ये पार्लियामेंट में सभी लोगों को साथ होना चाहिए. इतना ही नहीं, बल्कि सरकार को, 1 मिनट सर, सरकार को, जो यहाँ मिनिस्टर कंसर्न है, उनको इसका जवाब भी देना चाहिए. हम किसी के सर हमारी
टाइम हो गया, मैं बता रहा हूं
सर. मैं चाहता हूं कि मिनिस्टर साहब यहाँ आके इसके बारे में, वहाँ जो थानेदार हैं सर, कानून व्यवस्था का मामला है, थानेदार जो हमारे माइग्रेंट लेबरर हैं, उनकी शिकायत को सुनते नहीं है. क्या ये कानून का मामला नहीं है? क्या ये
श्री अलोवालिया जो एसोसिएट,
उपाध्यक्ष महोदय,
आप भी एसोसिएट,
इत्तेफाक से मैं सिख
आप भी एसोसिएट बात
और बिहार और झारखंड का वासी भी. महोदय, मानस की जात एक ही पहचान बो, गुरु गोविंद सिंह का ये मैसेज लेकर पंजाब में लोग फलते फूलते हैं और वहाँ कारखाने पंजाबियों के हो सकते हैं, खेत और खलिहान भी पंजाबियों के हो सकते हैं, किंतु बिना बिहार, झारखंड और उत्तर प्रदेश के मजदूरों के और उनके हाथों की ताकत के ना तो वहाँ फसल हो सकती है, ना वहाँ की इंडस्ट्री चल सकती है. पर उनके साथ जो अन्याय हो रहा है और ये छीना छपटी करने वाले लुटेरे छोटे मोटे, वो बड़ी मुसीबत में वहाँ रहते हैं. और ये मजदूर जो अपनी सुरक्षा की व्यवस्था पूरी तरह नहीं कर सकते, जो उनको छीना झपटी, जिस दिन तनख्वाह मिलती है उस दिन छीन लेते हैं, जाकर दबाव देकर पैसे खींच कर ले जाते हैं। और कोई अफीम खाने वाला है, कोई शराब पीने वाला है, तरह तरह के व्यसन करने वाले लोग छीना झपटी कर रहे हैं। उन पर अगर पंजाब सरकार, पंजाब की पुलिस अगर रोक नहीं लगाती है तो ये दुर्भाग्यजनक है। वहां अगर ये हमारे खेत और खलिहानों में फसल उपजा रहे हैं और कारखानों में उत्पादन कर रहे हैं तो इनकी हर तरह की सुरक्षा करने की व्यवस्था पंजाब सरकार को लेनी चाहिए और केंद्र को चाहिए कि उनकी अगर कोई मदद की जरूरत है उस मदद को करके इनकी सुरक्षा की पूरी व्यवस्था की जाए। धन्यवाद।
Sri, yes, all of, yes, Mr. No, it is important. No, please, I can't allow debate. No, you are not even given a notice. No, please. It is a serious matter. That is why I have allowed. Please. Then who is? It is a.
At least by the government. It should not be repeated.
Sri Maitrian.
Thank you.
You forgot.
Chairman, sir. Last Friday, on 4th December 2009, the Honorable Prime Minister happily informed the nation about the auction of 3G spectrum and said that his government has decided that 3G spectrum will be allocated at market-determined prices rather than the administered prices. On that very same day, the Pioneer newspaper carried the headline news about the non-transparent behavior of the Union Telecom Minister in 2G spectrum allocation. On 1st November 2000...
No, this is on the court decision. Please confine. Please confine to court decision.
Court?
Yes.
Matter is, I'm on that only.
No individual.
No. On that very same...
Minister's name should not be brought into...
No, that is what I have already said.
I have not mentioned the name.
I have already said about it. I have already said. I have got the caution. Please. No. 1, 2, 3.
On 1st November 2007, the then Union Law Minister, on whose legal acumen I have great regard, he, in his ministerial notings, observed that in view of the importance of the 2G spectrum allocation and various options indicated in the statement of the case, he said it is necessary that the whole issue is first considered by an empowered group of ministers. On 2nd November 2007, the Telecom Minister wrote to the Prime Minister that notwithstanding the Law Minister's objection, he decided to continue with the controversial policy of first come, first served basis for the allocation of spectrum. On that very same day, after receiving the letter, the Prime Minister wrote to the Telecom Minister, drawing attention to the issues raised in the media on the spectrum allocation and stressed on the need to ensure fairness and transparency. In the letter, the Prime Minister insisted that he should be kept informed before any further action is taken in this regard. The crux of the matter is the revision of the cutoff date for granting UASL. The Telecom Ministry fixed the 1st October 2007 as the deadline to receive the applications. Accordingly, a press note dated 24th September 2007 was issued. Up to 1st October 2007, a total of 575 applications were received. 232 up to 25th September and 343 afterwards before 1st October. Suddenly, in a press release dated 10th January 2008, the Telecom Ministry announced that applications received up to 25th September alone would be considered. The reversal of the cutoff date from 1st October 2007 to 25th September 2007 was contested in the Delhi High Court, and a single judge order of 1st July 2009 and now a two-bench order dated 24th November 2009 of the Delhi High Court, headed by the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, it quashed the reversal of the cutoff date. The court observed that there cannot be a change in the rule after the game has begun. In his affidavit before the court, the Union Telecom Minister concealed. The Union Telecom Minister.
I have to only cautioning you.
Sir, you have allowed everybody else on the important issues. Sir.
This